Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into the fascinating life of Nikola Tesla. You know, a name everyone associates with genius, but also, well, a lot of mystery and maybe some eccentricity. Our goal here is really to get past the myths, give you a clear picture of who he was and what his real impact has been. And for this deep dive, we're looking at a mix of sources. We've got a recent AI research report from ChatGPT that's dated July 4, 2025, and we're balancing that with, solid historical accounts from Wikipedia, Britannica, History.com, and PBS. We want to cut through the noise to really get to the heart of his story for you. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Tesla's birth, 1856, Stuljan, which was in the Austrian Empire then, modern Croatia now, Serbian family. He often mentioned his mother, actually, crediting her for his incredible memory and the sort of photographic recall they called eidetic, and his creativity. And he was clearly bright scholastically, finished high school early, though interestingly, he left Graz University without getting his degree.
Yeah, and that's fascinating, isn't it? How those early traits, the memory, the quick mental math, really set the stage for everything that came later. It just shows he had this uniquely wired mind for invention, even without that final piece of paper.
Right, but what really cemented his genius, I think, were his inventions. We have to talk about the alternating current system, the AC polyphase system, and the induction motor. Late 1880s, Westinghouse licensed it, and it just became the absolute foundation for our modern power grid. Totally different from Edison's DC approach.
And that wasn't just a technical victory, it was huge for society. AC could send power efficiently over long distances. That's what let cities grow, industries boom far from the power source. It really did transform how people lived and worked.
Then there's the Tesla coil, 1891.
Yeah.
Iconic. Can you maybe explain that a bit? It creates these amazing electrical arcs, right?
Exactly. Very high voltage, high frequency currents. He used it for these spectacular public demos, lighting lamps wirelessly, sometimes even through his own body, and some early X-ray experiments too. And you see, his vision just kept getting bigger. It wasn't just about cool demos, he dreamed bigger. Think about Wardenclyffe Tower around 1901. That was his shot at global wireless power and communication. For free, ideally.
Right, the big dream. But it famously collapsed when J.P. Morgan pulled the funding.
It did. And that project, plus things like his radio-controlled boat back in 1898 and later claims like the death ray in the 30s, well, they show this tendency towards these grand, sometimes unproven concepts, kind of blurring that line between genius and maybe showman.
Yeah, that's a good point. And his path wasn't easy, lots of rivalries. That brief time working for Thomas Edison in 1884.
Oh yeah, that ended badly. A dispute over a bonus, allegedly, and Edison was totally committed to DC. Tesla proposed AC, they clashed, and he resigned.
And that really kicked off the War of the Currents. Edison fighting dirty, trying to discredit AC.
Even electrocuting animals publicly to show how dangerous AC supposedly was. Very controversial.
But in the end, AC won. Tesla and Westinghouse pushed it through.
Which does make you wonder, right? How much did that fight, especially with a giant like Edison, push Tesla? Force him to prove AC worked? The Niagara Falls power plant in 1896, using AC, that was the big practical win, really sealed the deal for AC power.
Okay, so after Wardenclyffe failed, things changed for Tesla. His life became, well, more solitary and financially tough. Living alone in New York hotels, sometimes struggling to pay the bills, and the eccentricity seemed to grow. Like, he was apparently a germaphobe, yet he obsessed over feeding pigeons every day.
That story about the white pigeon is quite something, spending over $2,000 a fortune then on caring for an injured one. He apparently said he loved it, as a man loves a woman.
It's quite a statement. Plus the obsession with the number 3, hating pearls, becoming vegetarian. Some biographers look at these and suggest maybe obsessive-compulsive traits.
And these behaviors, plus the big claims he'd make later in life, like at his annual birthday press conferences, they definitely fed that mad genius image, even though people who knew him often described him as very polite, very refined.
So he died January 7th, 1943. 86 years old, alone in the Hotel New Yorker. Official cause: coronary thrombosis. Of course, you hear conspiracy theories, foul play, secret inventions, but historians and the declassified files we have show no real evidence of that.
But what happened after his death is critical. The FBI, along with the Office of Alien Property Custodian, moved in fast. Just 2 days later, they seized all his papers. The big fear was his secrets, especially that supposed death ray falling into enemy hands during World War II.
And they brought someone to check them out.
Yes, Dr. John G. Trump, an MIT professor, and actually Donald Trump's uncle. He reviewed the documents. His conclusion: most of Tesla's later work was, and I'm quoting here, largely speculative, philosophical, and promotional. He found No new sound workable principles. That box supposedly holding part of the death ray, it just had an old resistor inside.
Huh. So not quite the weapon plans people imagine.
Not according to Trump's report. Now, some original notes are still missing, which fuels speculation, sure, but the official assessment found nothing of immediate military value. It really shows how much his ideas, even the unbuilt ones, captured people's imagination.
So wrapping this up, what's Tesla's legacy today? He's undeniably seen as this brilliant, visionary genius, right?
Yeah.
The Tesla unit is named after him, often called underappreciated.
Definitely. But it's complex. Those later unfulfilled claims, the eccentricities, they made him controversial for some, maybe seen as a bit fringe towards the end. He was absolutely a brilliant engineer, a master showman, made real breakthroughs. But he also definitely ventured into imaginative territory that didn't always pan out.
It's a story that really shows both sides, isn't it? The incredible heights of innovation and also the very human quirks that can come with that kind of creativity. And maybe it leaves us with a question, in a world still buzzing with big ideas, how do you tell the difference between truly groundbreaking innovation and just brilliant but ultimately unrealized speculation? Something to think about.